Before we get started, do me a favor and smash that like button. I'd appreciate it.
In the RV.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. I got LT on the line here. I'm here in Florida, and he's up in the mountains of south central Colorado at about 8,500 feet above sea level, enjoying some cool weather. And he and I are going to have a discussion about the liquidity pool and the numbers and things that are going on with it, and what we perceive the risks, and so on and so forth. So welcome, LT.
Well, good morning, Teddy. Good morning, everybody. It's another beautiful day here in Colorado. Enjoying the river as it flows by. I'm here on the Rio Grande River. And just beautiful watching the wildlife in the morning as birds fly and all that. So just really enjoying life right now. Thought we should have a discussion about the liquidity pool, the tbill.io, and the T-Fuel T-bill liquidity pool. What's happened in the past and where we see things going in the future.
Turn that off.
Yeah. So I know there's a lot of people that were in the pool, and then a lot of people got out of the pool before that was about the 10th of May or something like that. Whenever there was a video that was put out that created a lot of fear, and a lot of people, including you and me, decided to pull out of the pool. We didn't understand or know exactly what might be happening, and so the safest thing was to protect yourself by getting out of the pool. At least a majority of what we'd had in there we took out. Within the week, we'd gone back in, and then you've done several things over the last couple of months in trying to do some experiments, testing, how's this working? What's this IL? How does it work? I mean, we've had some information from the G-World team about how it works, but it's very, let's say, nebulous exactly how it works in the background. So,
Yeah.
which is,
it's been interesting trying to figure things out by doing my testing, and I have not been able to figure out a lot, but I've been in and out of the pool quite a bit, and
right.
One of my biggest concerns was, I'd go into the pool with, a bunch of T-Fuel, which, of course I split, for T-bill, and then I'd sit there and just as an example, let's say I go in with 100,000 T-Fuel. After I had done the split, I've got 100,000 T-Fuel and whatever the matching T-bill was, and I would sit there and watch that the amount of T-Fuel that was, quote, mine, dwindling down, and I'm thinking, I'm losing money here. Because I wasn't getting rewards. I was actually losing more in a day than the rewards were making up for, and that's been a concern of mine for a while. And
Right.
You and I had talked a lot about that, and finally came to the conclusion, through our discussions, that I needed to go ahead and get back into the pool and quit worrying about those numbers so much, and so that's finally what I did. And
Right.
if I look at the numbers right now, based on the amount of T-Fuel that I had when I went in, I'm down about 50,000 T-Fuel, according to the numbers. But now when I look at the IL information, if I were to pull out right now, I would get about twice the amount of T-fuel that I'm down in the form of the G-Note token. And so,
Right.
it's like I'm not worrying about it like I used to, because I see the numbers, and based on these numbers and the way that it appears to work, and we've already been through the one cycle where they paid out the G-Note, so they've got that working. And
Right. We had what's called the 0 day, which that 0 day resets your wallet. So if you'd pulled out too much, at that time it was if you'd pulled out more than 30%, then you don't get the IL or the extra IL. And then that 0 day resets your clock. It resets the clock on your wallet and resets your high water mark.
yeah,
So that now you go, well, I'm going to go back in the pool, and that's a new mark to be evaluated from. So now that amount that you must keep in there to receive the extra IL is 90% of your high water mark. And so that's a bit of a change from the original 70%. But we've also learned more about how this IL works and what's going to happen with that at the next 0 day, which right now is scheduled for November the 18th. So anybody that is, say, negative in the amount of T-fuel, because it's being denominated or tracked in T-fuel valuation. So you're going to get the equivalent of that amount of T-fuel in G-Note at the next 0 day. And then that G-Note is something you'll be able to use to put into the G-Note T-bill liquidity pool, or take that G-Note and trade it for T-bill and then trade that for T-fuel, So,
yeah. And I did that
so,
after the 0 day, and based on the amount of G-Note that I received and the amount of T-fuel that I was showing as IL, I got about 95% back. So
right.
in the end, I was only down by 5%. And if I look at the amount of rewards that I had received over that time, that took care of that. So, there's risk with everything. There's not an investment out there that exists where there's no risk.
Oh, that is, and so that's what the conversations that you and I had were talking about, this risk. And so, the three risks that we were made aware of from the G World team themselves was, well, the risk that the internet gets shut down. Well, that's a risk, but that doesn't affect just the pool. It affects everything that's internet based,
which is almost everything these days.
Right. So we're back to we're to Mad Max if that happens. So we have bigger issues.
Yeah.
Than this pool if that happens.
Yeah.
Then
that's
the
for
risk
sure.
that something happens with Theta and the 25 validator nodes at Theta get turned off. That's a risk, which this pool and the G World team, Vigard's come out and directly said he's building projects, which his project G World, on Theta because he wants to support Theta, and that's your overall focus. My overall focus is about Theta, not about G World and G Pools. We see this as a place to hold our Theta and or T-fuel while the Theta team works to build out their ecosystem. and to bring more value to the owners of the Theta token and T-Fuel, which they're working on. So that's the bigger picture, is that we're trying to have a return on our investment into Theta. With that investment is T-Fuel or T-Drop or the Theta token itself. So we'd like to have a return on that. We can do that by staking, and we can do that by staking the Theta and staking the T-Fuel to an edge node, or staking your T-Drop in the Theta system to earn more of each of those. But this G-World and G-Pool staking pool is another way to earn while you're holding your T-Fuel. You can stake it in their liquidity pool. So of the risk, which internet being shut down, Theta being shut off, the validator nodes, or T-Fuel going to zero. And those were the three risks that we originally identified for the pool. Now, we've learned a little bit more, especially through that first few weeks of May, when so much of the T-Fuel or liquidity was pulled out of the pool itself. And in fact, as I recall, we had about 84% of the LP token was pulled out, and the pool itself shrank down to about 16% of its high water mark overall.
Yeah, and that 16% amounted to somewhere around 200 million T-Fuel still in the pool after that. I
thought it went down to about 120 million T-Fuel in the pool.
Was it that low?
Yeah, I think it was about 120 million T-Fuel left in the pool.
Well, so we're still above that right now, because last I looked, we were at 169. And by the way, when I finally made the decision after you beating me over the head and beating some sense into me, basically, when I went back into the pool with a commitment to stay in the pool and quit focusing on those numbers so much, I went back in with 414,000 T-Fuel, which I split into T-bill, half of it. And like I said a few minutes ago, by my calculations, the amount of T-Fuel that I'm showing is still in the pool that belongs to me. I'm down about 50,000 T-Fuel from what I had, but my current IL figure is nearly twice that. It's showing that my current IL, if I were to get out of the pool right now, would be 94,000. So I'm almost twice what I've been reduced. And of course, when I look over at the extra IL, which is your high water mark, basically, it shows that if I stay in the pool when November 18th comes and they do another 0-day event, I'm going to get 125,000 T-Fuel, or the equivalent of that, in G-notes. So, even though you initially look at that being down by 50,000 T-Fuel, and that's scary, but if you look at everything else, you realize that's really not that bad. I mean, what's 50,000 when you're talking, you went in with 414,000, that's what, about 10-12% maybe?
Right.
So it's really not that bad. And the IL that it's showing, is going to more than make me whole. So
right, your IL is showing you're going to pick up about 25%, or almost double what you're down. So
yeah.
Anyway,
and I'm still getting the daily rewards right now. I'm getting about 40. Well, the last couple of days it's been 51 T-bill a day.
Right, per day.
So
back to the reason you got back in, in that discussion we're having was about what the risks are. And I think I was telling you that given the Theta, I believe, you believe in Theta, and Theta Labs is a company that's working to expand its ecosystem, it's working to gain adoption, it's working to have more transactions on its chain, the Meta chain coming along, the 4.0 be launched in the 1st of December. All the things that are going on with Theta, we believe that Theta itself is going to grow, and the price of Theta is going to go higher as time goes on. Now, we don't know any kind of a time frame. It could be it takes a year, or it takes 2 years for Theta to come back up to, the $16 it was at one time, or for T-Fuel to come back up to the 68 cents, I think was the high it made a year ago. So, so we know that there's going to be some time frame that we have to stay in Theta and T-Fuel and these things before we're going to see, that high watermark of those valuations again. So my point was, okay, well, if I stay in the pool, in the liquidity pool, what are my risks? And one was, well, all the T-Fuel could be pulled out of the pool. Well, we've seen that. We've seen that happen, that it went down 84%. The pool continued to operate and continued to stay solvent. And since that low water mark, quite a bit's come back in. So it's started to come back up. So I know what my risks are there, and what I know is if I stayed in, I still held my LP tokens. Now, the value of each of those LP tokens went down, but now the value of those LP tokens are coming back up. And how do we get the valuation of the LP token in the first place? Well, it comes from the price that's put on T-Fuel directly. That's where T-Bill price gets its price, is from T-Fuel. Right now, T-Bill's price is almost completely associated with the price of T-Fuel. And so the other risk we had was the possibility that T-Fuel goes to zero. Well, we saw the price of T-Fuel go down to 4.5 cents. Now, that's not zero, right? But
No.
that's down considerable from where it was when the pool first started. If we go back to January, when the pool first started, T-Fuel was about 25 cents. And then it went down to 4.5 cents. So it lost, 80% of its value. But the LP tokens, individual LP token price went down, but the pool continued to exist. And now it's coming back up. So when
Yeah.
we're looking at
As a matter
our
of fact,
overall,
the price of T-Fuel from its low of about 4.5 cents has gained back 50%. Because
Right.
it's now sitting at about 7.6 cents.
right.
Yeah,
So anyway, it's a matter of being patient, and it's a matter of saying, okay, I believe that the Theta Labs is going to do well in the future. And if Theta and Theta Labs does well in the future, T-Fuel will do well in the future. How long it's going to take, I don't know. But in the meantime, I've got my T-Fuel in the liquidity pool where it's earning an APR, an annual percentage rate. So I'm able to earn a rate on my investment while I wait for Theta Labs and to do its thing, to gain adoption, to build its ecosystem, to increase its transactions. So then to bring value to the Theta token and T-Fuel and T-Drop. So as I wait for these things to happen, I'm earning an annual percentage rate on a daily basis, paid out on a daily basis, that I can do anything with. So that brought up the next possible risk that I could think of, which was what if, I'm running on the premise that the people that are in the pool now are people that think like me, and they're thinking, I'm going to leave this in here. Except they might want to start pulling their rewards on a daily basis, because that's why they're in the pool in the first place, is to earn rewards. So a decision is made. If a decision was made by everybody in the pool to pull their rewards on every day, how much T-Fuel would leave the pool on a daily basis? And it works out to be about 1.5%. So if you lost 1.5% of your T-Fuel out of the pool every single day, how long could the pool continue to survive before the pool had no T-Fuel in it? Well, because of the way the math works, it's 1.5% of what you have in the pool from the day before. So if the pool gets smaller every day by 1.5%, you actually could go indefinitely for the pool to go to zero. It's never going to go to zero, because 1.5% tomorrow is less than 1.5% from today.
Yeah.
So this extraction of T-Fuel from the pool as a percentage of the rewards could actually go on for years and years and years and years, right? Our lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen is our LP token, or the value of the LP token, would be getting smaller every day. So you would see the value of your LP token going down, but if what you were doing was just holding on, you wouldn't lose LP token. Your LP token, if you were one of those pulling out your rewards every day, you would maintain the same amount of LP token that you have right now. And so let's say you have 4 LP tokens, you earn your rewards every day, you pull those rewards out, tomorrow you still have 4 LP tokens.
Yeah.
And the day after that, and the day after that, you still have 4 LP tokens. So as long as you hold the LP tokens, and that's where your value is. It's in the value of the LP token, because that is T-Fuel and T-Bill together. So you go, well, all right, so which we've just seen actually over this last week. I'm assuming that several large wallets got out, because we went from about 220 million T-Fuel down to where we are now, 169 million T-Fuel. So we've had a loss of almost 50 million T-Fuel in the last week or week and a half. And you go, okay. But what's happened also in the last week? The price of T-Fuel went from 5 cents up to 7.5 cents, a 50 gain, which brings up the value of the LP token. So even though T-Fuel's leaving the pool, because T-Fuel's going up in price, which is what we're expecting, because we expect Theta Labs to do its job, we're not losing anything, really, because the value of the LP token has actually increased over the last week and a half, even though T-Fuel's gone out. So as I was telling you, several weeks ago, I said, look, the thing to watch is your LP token. And in fact, anytime the value of the pool goes down, make sure you're reinvesting your daily rewards to build your number of LP token, because now you're getting the LP token cheaper. And whenever our expectations are realized, the value of Theta goes up, value of T-Fuel goes up, Now you have more LP token to go up. So even though the number of T-fuels going up and down, and the number of T-bill because of negative rebases or positive rebases going up and down, that's kind of a distraction. Where we should be focusing on is how many LP tokens do you currently hold, and what are their value? And that's presented for you right there on the tbill.io page.
Yeah.
If you want to see some of the other numbers associated with the pool, well then of course you can go tbillstats.io, and those guys have put together a great page that is really helpful for our kind of understanding what's happening with the pool itself, the number of LP tokens, the G-Note, number of G-Note wallets, how much G-Note's in the G-Note pool. And so there's some good statistics out there you can pull up to kind of watch those things. But for just a person that is an investor that's putting some money in there and is going to let it ride, watch LP token, increase the LP token that you have as much as possible, and that LP token then, as it goes up based on Theta Labs and T-Fuel being demanded or used more in that ecosystem, that alone will bring up the value that you have in the LP, T-Fuel LP.
Yeah.
So
this would be a good time for me to remind people of the fact that you should never invest money that you can't afford to lose. If you get into the LP expecting that you might have to pull that money out for a mortgage payment or something along those lines, you're putting yourself into a position where if the amount that you can pull out right now today is less than what you were expecting, then you're putting yourself in a bad position, and you shouldn't do that. I got into one of the factors that I took into consideration over you and I talking is to get back into the pool was the fact that I don't depend on if this thing went to zero tomorrow, I'm not depending on being able to tap into this to pay a bill, like a mortgage or food or whatever, so if you go into this thing where you need to be able to pull that money out at the drop of a hat, you're just creating stress for yourself, because you got to realize this thing is going to go up, it's going to go down. Now,
and that's why we said we're putting money into the pool, but we're investing in Theta, but we're trying to earn a return in the G pool.
Yes, and I believe you will earn that return if you hang in there. And it took you beating me over the head for weeks before I finally realized that you were right.
Well, I think I am. I'm trying to figure out what the risks are, and the price of T-Fuel going to zero, that's a risk. Well, it went down to 4.5 cents, which is 80% off its high. Off the recent high since the pool started. And so pools continue to work. So is that really a risk? Is T-Fuel going to go to zero? Well, that's one of the first risks we talked about back in February.
But it's not a risk if when you put the money into the pool, or any investment for that matter, if you put it into it, and Rob at Digital Asset News hammers on this point, when you put money into an investment, the best thing you can do is just consider that money is gone, that you'll never see it again. And if you have that attitude,
your family.
if you have that attitude, there's no stress when you watch your T-Fuel drop by 50,000 over a week. There's no stress if you had that attitude going in. Hey, it'll be gone. and it works because I was stressing out a lot, and LT can tell you that. He and I talk just about every day, and I was stressing out, and he just kept repeating the point, and I would say you probably said it to me a dozen or more times before it finally sank in that I was looking at it wrong. I was too focused on one thing instead of backing away and just looking at the overall picture. And when I did that, I started realizing that you were right, and I needed to be back in the pool, and I needed to commit to staying in the pool regardless of what these numbers were telling me. And by the way, let me real quick point out here these numbers that it's showing. You've got three numbers here. You've got the current IL. That's the amount of IL that you would realize if you pulled out right now. And then you've got the realized IL figure, which you may or may not have any realized IL at this point. But if you add those two numbers together, and then you look over at the extended IL, that extended IL, the extra IL, that number is always going to be equal to or greater than the sum of your current IL figure and your realized IL figure. So look at your extended IL, if you have it, as a high water mark. It's going to get pushed up further if those other two numbers increase.
Yeah, it's extra IL, not extended.
Yeah.
It's extra IL.
Right.
And what that number is the amount of IL you would have had on the worst day if you had gotten out of the pool on that day, 100% out. So that's the extra IL.
Right.
And you're going to receive that extra IL whether you get out. Well, not, excuse me. That's not correct. You're going to receive, you have to stay in the pool at least 90% of your high water mark until the next 0 day. But at that next 0 day, in this case, it's November 18th, you will receive that extra IL.
Yes, exactly.
In the form of G-Note.
Now you'll notice that if you watch the current IL, that number goes up and it goes down, okay?
Right.
But the extra IL figure, it doesn't go down except on a 0 day when it'll be reset to 0. So just remember that really the extra IL is the high water mark basically. And you need to stay in.
And if you got out on that day.
Right. And so you need to stay in at least, used to be 70%. Matter of fact, if you go to the IL guide, it still says 70%. But if you look on the screen, it clearly says 90%, which means you can pull out 9% or 10% or whatever it is and still get your extra IL during the airdrop. But if you pull more than that out, then you're going to lose that extra IL. You'll still get your current IL, whatever that happens to be at the time you pull out would be added to your realized IL. But the extra IL, that's your reward for staying in, and not experimenting like I've been doing.
Right.
A lot of experimenting and learning very little in the process.
Well, I would say you're doing that experimenting, trying to gain a knowledge that's not shared with us from the G World team.
Yes, exactly.
So you could then share that knowledge with your listeners. So, although we or you haven't learned much from those endeavors, they're worth doing just to try to figure that out.
Yep, so. But it did cost me the extra IL because I kept pulling out, and so I wasn't having any extra IL. But finally I'm back in, and I'm sticking it out regardless of what the numbers are saying. And You know, it's funny that I say I'm down 50,000 T fuel from where I was when I went in, but my daily rewards, they're still where they should be. You know,
Right.
so I'm still getting the daily rewards that I calculated when I went in and said, okay, I should be getting this much. Well, I've been getting that amount. You know, I mean, it might change 1 or 2 T-bill, you know, up or down,
Right.
but it's hanging in there, you know, and
Yep.
so I just, you know, some days I converted all to T fuel, and then, you know, I'll save up a little bit of T bill, and I've got the T fuel that I converted it to match up, and then I'll put that back in as well. So you know,
Right.
I encourage
That's-
everybody that quit doing what I was doing. Quit worrying too much about the you know, don't focus on oh my gosh, I've lost this much T fuel, because I haven't really. Haven't lost anything
Right.
until I get out.
Right.
It's like
So
it's like the stock market. You don't really lose anything when the stock crashes until you sell it.
you just keep holding on to
Yeah,
it.
you just lock in that loss when you sell it. You know.
Right. So anyway, that was, you know, I thought it'd be good if we shared this conversation that we've had in the past to help others understand. You know, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of moving numbers going up and down, but those parts and numbers are somewhat of a distraction. In my opinion, we should be focused on how many LP tokens do you have? How do I grow LP tokens? And it's by reinvesting my rewards every day, or adding new funds to the pool to grow my number of LP tokens.
Yeah,
And just like with any investment, when it's best to buy when prices are low,
yeah,
so that when prices go high, you can sell.
yeah. And by the
and
way,
realize
tell them where you see the LP token number that you have, because it's not shown on the T-bill IO staking page anywhere that I'm aware of.
no, it's not. It's the easiest way to see it is to, well, in your MetaMask wallet, if you've imported that token contract to your MetaMask wallet, you can see it on the assets page of the MetaMask wallet. That's the easiest way to see it. If you're in tbill.io website, you can pull down the list, the menu, and where you know, a lot of times I first look at the staking page to see where the overall pool is, but then I go to the pool tab or on the menu to see the overall, or to where I could add liquidity to the pool if I wanted. And then if I go to manage, word manage, it's in blue, I can click on that, and that will then show me right there
Yeah.
how many LP tokens
In
I have.
in your wallet, in your MetaMask wallet under assets, if you look for the one called Uni, that's UNI-V2, so it's Uniform November India Victor 2. That is the name of the token that you will see, and it'll show you there how many of them you have. Like mine right now says I've got 3.1, and it actually goes out 7 or 8 spaces to the right of the decimal. But
right. But you had to have imported that contract address into your MetaMask wallet to see it there.
exactly.
So,
But yeah, if you go to thetaswap.io and then just look at the LP, you know, click on manage, and then it'll show you there the same number, how many of them you have.
right. So, yeah, you got a couple different places you can look to see how many LP tokens you have. And so, you know, I'm growing my LP token as much as I can, and because I fully expect that whenever G-World gets their next iterations of what they're working on out, which would be the GTX wallet, the G-Twins, the G-World, all these things that they're working hard to develop.
Yeah, the G World is their metaverse basically, and it's going to be cool.
Right. Oh yeah. Once they get that out there, we're gonna see demand for T-bill. Yeah, T-bill gets its price in two different ways. One is through the primary way is that it derives its price from T-fuel, and but it also drives price from demand for the T-bill itself. Right now, the only thing that's demanding T-bill are liquidity pools. If you want to stake the liquidity pools, staking your G-Node or staking T-fuel to the liquidity pools, that creates the demand for T-bill. But in the G-World ecosystem, if you want to, create a G-Twin or a GTX, use the GTX wallet and browser that they're working on, you'll need T-bill to be able to pay for these things, and that T-bill then will create demand on the system, which will then be value gained. So
yeah, T-bill will be the currency that you will use within the metaverse.
Right. So that's that in itself is what I see that there's two ways we're going to get value added. One is to our LP. One is the demand for T-bill, and the other is a rise in price of T-fuel. I expect to see the rise in price of T-fuel over the next 6, 8, 10 months, and I expect to see more demand for T-bill as the G-World team produces their G-World and
Man, what's
GTX
that noise?
wallet. It's a bus that started up right over here next to me.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like it's got a belt that's...
Yeah.
So anyway, as these things, that's where I expect to see the growth of the value of the LP token, is whenever these things start happening. So that's my outlook, and that's the way I see these things possibly bringing me more value in the future.
Yeah, we're at 43 minutes, by the way.
Oh well, yeah. So anyway, that's I thought we ought to at least share that with folks. And, so.
Dang.
Oh, yeah, he's backing out.
Thank goodness.
Right, he's leaving now. So
go away,
anyway.
Noisy bus.
Yeah. Well, he'll be gone a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I had to bring. So
yeah. So
anybody has other knowledge that I don't have, or has figured out other risk that there might be out there. I just haven't figured it out myself. I'd be glad to hear about that risk.
Yeah, definitely, and people will be able to put comments down there as long as they don't be abusive to anybody, because that'll get you banned.
Right.
But put your comments down there, and feel free to ask questions that we can answer for you to the best of our ability. LT's pretty good about getting in there and answering questions. He's better than I am at it, as a matter of fact. But
well, it's just because I can read them better than you can.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the blind guy in the bunch, and sometimes I wonder how much longer I'm going to be able to do the videos, because of the editing and all of that required, because of my vision issues, and it seems like they're slowly getting worse. So.
Right.
But we'll do it as long as we can. you know.
Right. Right.
So, but I'm glad we had this discussion, and I appreciate you taking the time, LT, out of your vacation. And I'm glad that you guys have you actually got to extend your vacation a little bit, which is pretty cool. You know, because I mean,
Right.
I wish I was there with you, because I mean, it's what you're telling me about is just sounds so beautiful. You know.
It is. It's absolutely majestic.
Yeah.
Let's say.
I might not be able to,
So.
you know, visually enjoy the beauty of it to the extent that you can, but I would still enjoy being there. You know, the sounds of the wildlife and the breathing the fresh air and all of that would still be beneficial and enjoyable for me. You know, and
Right.
maybe someday I'll get to do it. You know, but in the meantime, I just live vicariously through you.
Well, I'll try not to disappoint. So.
Yeah. Well, you haven't yet, you know. Right. So it's good talking to you. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here, and I'll check and make sure we got a recording. So I'm going to hit the. Well, that's a wrap for this presentation. So cue the music. If you enjoyed the video, then hit that thumbs up for me, and I'll see you in the next video.